Everybody, this is Perch, and this is like a dad Perch video again. Everybody loves those, except probably Perch. I never know what to. I don't know. This always feels like very very basic advice, but sometimes it helps to hear basic advice out loud. Like we all know it, but when somebody tells us, it's why a lot of those self help books are so popular and helpful. It says things like, you know, don't take a lot of meth. It's like, oh man, I never would have thought about that on my own. I was totally thinking meth was an option for me, but when I read it here in this book, it seems more clear. A lot of self help books are that way. They tell you things that are super super obvious, but it's different when you hear it from someone else. It's like it confirms your own common sense, and I think we need that as people every now and then. But this is advice I've given to other people. I've given it to my children, but they're a little young to kind of figure this out. But I think it really applies to a lot of stuff that we deal with on social media and just from creators and customers and everything. And I think this advice applies to just the customer, to Dan Slott, to whoever it might be. And again, this is a little bit kind of obvious advice, and this is not a there are two sides kind of video. It's not about sides. It's about interpretation. So when we talk to each other, when I talk to you, I can say my little sentence, and when everybody talks, they have emphasis and inflection in their voice. I can say, I really want to have a good outcome here. And listening to that, you go, oh, the way he exaggerated the word really, and kind of, if there's visual there, he's talking with his hands, and he's like, you can sense some, I don't know about sincerity, but at least some passion into we really need to have a good outcome here. However, if I type that and send it off in an email, we really need to have a good outcome here. Different people are going to read it with their own kind of filters, with their own whatever they're thinking at the time. And it's likely to come off, vastly different. If I'm having a bad day and I read somebody, mails me and says, we really need to have a good outcome here, I may read that as almost a threat, like, hey, you better get your shit together, or, we really need to have a good outcome here, so your ass is on the line. That may be how I read it. Or I may read it as kind of a vacuous, kind of just hollow statement. We really need to have a good outcome here, and also world peace and puppies and all kinds of rainbows shooting out of everybody's butt. That's what we need here. I mean, it can come off as hollow, and that's a fundamental thing that it's important for people to understand, because one of the traps that we get into a lot, especially right now with everybody working from home and remote, is that the way we sound when we write versus when we talk is incredibly different. And almost 9 times out of 10, the way we sound when we write, the way that we're read, sounds more like you're an asshole. It's weird how it works that way, but writing tends to take out all of the charm and the inflection, the passion in the voice, sometimes some of the friendliness. Sometimes people say things that are a little snarky, but they say it with a smile, and it's just you can't help but smile back, even though you're kind of being borderline insulted, because it's a joke. That's why for example, stand-up comedians can roast each other, the audience. They can do all kinds of things, and if you're sitting there, you're often laughing along, and you get the joke. But if you write out what the comedian said and you read it on a paper, it sounds borderline insane. A lot of the time, you lose the context of the moment, you lose kind of the jokey behavior, and to kind of prove the point, if somebody has transcribed a lot of Dave Chappelle's material, and you can go online and search like Dave Chappelle, tight 5-minute set or whatever it happens to be, and you can see the script of Dave Chappelle and what he's written. And if you read it, you will come across, what you will believe is that Chappelle is a prick, and he is insensitive, and he is, he's just cruel. But if you stand there and you listen to that set that you just read, it comes off a lot funnier. It comes off very affable. It comes off like like a buddy. And so one of the pieces of advice I give people is, number one, when you're reading something, you need to try and read it unemotional. If you find yourself getting triggered a lot by things you read, I've given this advice to people at work, like turn on the voice transcribe and have it read to you in that terrible, like robotic Alexa voice, and it's much better. Oh, by the way, yeah, I should do that. Hey, do you guys use Alexa for things? Do you do stuff with Alexa? Are any of you right now? Did your house just fire off with a bunch of devices, and now you're pissed at me and trying to shut up Amazon from saying what is it that you want? Sorry, I apologize. That happens to me. Like, 'cause I do interviews, obviously on this channel from time to time, and nobody even says Alexa, but suddenly, like, the device in my living room's like, yes, what is it you want? You want me to order 5,000 bottles of water? Yes, I will get right on. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like unplugging the device. Anyway, sorry if I triggered anybody's device there, but it's important to put yourself in a position where you take the emotion out of it. Now, what does all this have to do with comics? Well, a couple things. I see creators respond to tweets, and I see customers respond to tweets with the worst possible read of those tweets. And in some cases, don't get me wrong, the creator or the customer is absolutely being an asshole. No doubt about it. They are trying to fire at somebody, and they're pissed, and they're making trouble. Everybody certainly does some of that, but I see a lot of misfires. I see a lot of misunderstandings by people who are just reading, and they're putting their own filters on it. And unfortunately, when things are tense, and this is kind of the lesson to both the customers and the creators, when things seem like the anxiety and the tension has ratcheted up a few times, then it's easy for this stuff to snowball. It's easy for one tweet, one fairly innocuous tweet, to set off World War III, because people are just reading every single response in the absolute most a-hole dick way possible. And what you're doing in that scenario is you're hurting yourself. And if you choose to read things as if the person is being a complete and absolute dick, you're taking power away from yourself. You're basically putting yourself into a fight that may or may not exist. Maybe it just exists a little bit, but basically you're taking, you're removing the ability to de-escalate or get things back on track, because you are locked into a blood feud now because of the way somebody sounds when they type. Now, keep in mind, again, you do not need to tell me in the comments. Absolutely, there are people who are actually being a dick. No mistake about it. They know exactly what they're doing. I'm not saying that everything is a misunderstanding. Not at all. But there are a lot of misunderstandings out there, and they all seem to generate in much the same way. Somebody writes something that is fairly innocuous. I mean, what is interesting is I see from time to time people say, I'm being bombarded, I'm being harassed, I'm being piled on. There's a dog pile, and sometimes that dog pile is not that bad. You read the tweets, and it's like, I mean, I've heard worse, I've said worse. It's not so terrible. But because everything is ratcheted up to 11, people are just they're going to read things in the worst way possible. Then they're going to react. They're going to feel the anxiety is going to rise up inside them, and it's going to take away a lot of control that we have, because we're locked into this battle. Now, I'm saying this for the benefit of just a lot of the fights that I see in comics are unnecessary fights. People are fighting each other, and they don't need to. They're fighting each other over either nothing or very passive, very just the most lukewarm kind of insult. I've seen people go ballistic over a comment on Facebook that says, "I didn't really like this book," and they read it like the person had just announced like the most racist, bigoted, nightmarish pitchfork kind of comment you've ever seen in your life. I've also seen a number of creators who do like to, part of the gimmick of how you look cool on the social media, you see, is you go for snark. And snark is rarely interpreted as people are writing it. They write snark, but it comes off like just being a colossal asshole. That's how the snark sounds. Now, again, anyone with some good common sense should know maybe you don't, if you sound like a prick, maybe you shouldn't write that. That would be smart. Like, don't tweet that is a good lesson just for all kinds of people. But it helps both as the writer and the reader. I guess what I'm saying is, if you don't want to be misinterpreted, if you frequently find that people are taking what you say as if you're being a colossal prick, consider that maybe you're writing it in such a way that, gives that impression. Maybe you don't mean to be as spicy as or as hardcore as you're coming across. If this happens to you frequently, try go back to basics. Say, you know what? I'm not ready for snark. I don't know how to do it properly. I am just offending everybody constantly. So maybe I'm going to back away from that. And as the readers, maybe my other piece of advice there is, don't automatically assume that what you're reading is a personal attack on you, because it could just be very poorly written. Or you're reading it, it's very poorly written, or you're reading it very poorly, which again happens all the time. It happens to me. If you're honest with yourselves, again, some people are dicks. Absolutely, there are dick tweets out there. If somebody, all the different things, and somebody is saying, "F this group," that person's being a dick. Nobody's misinterpreting anything. General rule of thumb, when you put in the word "fuck" into your tweet, you're gonna sound like an asshole. That's just how it's gonna go. Nobody's misinterpreting. If you throw in "fuck," you are inviting people to come in and be pissed. Then do you want that? Maybe that's the entertainment you have for the day. Maybe you have better things you could be doing than just randomly offending people. But it's up to you. That's your call. You can do whatever you like. All I'm saying is this is good, just life advice. Forget about comics even for the moment. You're going to be in a situation where you are dating somebody, you're at the office, you're doing all the rest, and it's going to be very easy to write email in such a way that makes you sound like more of a prick. So maybe take a little bit more time writing that. And you're going to read email at times that you're going to be in a bad mood, and you're going to transfer that bad mood onto the writer of that email. It happens all the time. So again, it's just general advice is some of the battles we're fighting, not all of them, are absolutely coming across way worse than we intend. And I think there's a great opportunity to just pull it on back a little bit. Hey, creators, maybe some of the comments that customers are giving to you are not as bad as you think. Maybe you're stressed because you have a deadline, or maybe Marvel's asking you to take a pay cut, or who knows what's going on in your life, and it sucks. Maybe you have to launch that GoFundMe because you need extra cash for reasons that are unknown. Lots of things could be going on in your life. At the same time, you don't know, but who wants to be misinterpreted? Why would you want to be? And just as an aside, with so much misinterpretation out there in the world, why add more to it? And I go back to, maybe don't maybe dial back on the snark. Maybe you don't have to be a dick today. Maybe it's very cool to do the I don't really care. I'm too cool to care. Maybe you just sound like kind of a pretentious asshole when you do that. I'm just that. One of the greatest gifts that anyone can get in life is to have a good, just partner, spouse, whatever it happens to be, great friend, who every now and then will tap us on the shoulder and go, "Hey, that thing you wrote there, you sound like a fucking lunatic when you say that. You sound crazy. I know you're not a lunatic, but maybe, you did not come across like you intended." It happens to all of us. I've done it many times. I've come across crazy. I may be right now, and that's not what's in my heart. It's not what I mean. And so, if you have somebody who can nudge you every now and then to say, "Hey, you're not communicating the way you hope. You are communicating in a bad way. You're communicating in a way that is not going to carry your message through." So consider revising. If you have somebody like that in your life, you are fortunate. A lot of people don't. And we could all use somebody. We could all use somebody in our life who could hold up a mirror every now and then to say, "Hey, crazy guy, you're acting crazy. Don't act crazy." It's helpful. Anyway, Dad Perch advice. There you go. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts below. Please, 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 just save your time. I do not need people going, but Perch, don't you realize that some of the SJWs are assholes? No, 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 no. I don't need to hear it. I know there's some people who are crazy assholes. I know. But I don't think Tom King is being misinterpreted. I think he is being interpreted exactly as he is writing. So save it. I got it. I got it. Anyway, or do it anyway and make me crazy. Thanks for listening.